My name is Lacey Wolf. I'm the Health Promotion Administrator at Employees Retirement System of Texas. And it's my honor really to be able to introduce Dr. Tim Church. He is an MD. He also holds a Ph.D. as well as a Master's in Public Health. He is one of the world's leading experts when it comes to exercise physiology research, obesity research, as well as healthy aging. Dr. Church has over 250 peer-reviewed journal articles that he has written, published, and he's been cited by multiple publications like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and many, many others. So he's an incredible resource for us, and I'm really just grateful for the opportunity to have you on the call today. But a lot of people don't also know that you are a competitive jiu-jitsu competitor.
All you gotta do is look at my ears. You can figure it out.
I think you won a world championship or something like that.
I've won a couple of those. Yes, thank you for embarrassing me.
You're welcome. And also, a lot of people don't know about you that you're a very good artist, that you do metal work.
I do. You're so nice. Why doesn't everybody always introduce me like this?
Not only left side of the brain, but also that right side of the brain. You're creative as well as, you know, a very deep thinker. So I'm very excited to hear your message. I've heard you speak a couple of times, and for all of those of you who are on the call who haven't heard Dr. Church before, be prepared to be inspired and to get up and move today after we're done with this, or even while we're doing it. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Dr. Church, and I'll turn my camera off and look forward to hearing your message today.
Thanks, Lacey, and really thanks for everybody tuning in. It's really exciting for me. I love giving this talk, but I'm sitting here watching all your emails come in, and I'm looking at where you guys work. I'm seeing a lot of higher ed. I'm seeing a lot of state agency, obviously. I saw DPS. Hey, thank you. Just freaking thank you. I'm just going to start there, okay? These are really, really challenging times. I'm going to come back to it. I just had a super pleasant experience helping get my son getting his permit about a month ago, and I was amazed at what was going on. But that's not why I'm saying thank you. These are really, really tough times, and we just have to acknowledge that, and particularly for people who work in the public sector. So just thank you. Let's start there. It is such a pleasure to talk to you all today. We're going to fight through this. I've got people hammering things upstairs. I got a dog and a cat that aren't happy with each other. But you know what? We just make it happen these days, and that's what I'm going to do. Today, I'm going to talk about physical activity. It has never been more important in our lives, and you guys are going to see why. It's funny, Lacey mentioned my jiu-jitsu. You know, we're all getting it in so many different ways. And let me get to that in a second. So here's the overview of the talk. Everybody always wants to know where you're going. You know, let's talk. We're going to get real for a few minutes. We're going to talk about exercise and mental health. We're going to talk about exercise, weight loss, and quality of life, weight loss and COVID, and then let's problem solve. You know, and let's talk. You know, Lacey was nice enough to talk about my jiu-jitsu background. Yes, I train a lot of jiu-jitsu, like a ridiculous, insanely embarrassing amount of jiu-jitsu, and I compete all over the world. I haven't been on the mat in 4 months. That's what I do. That's my life. That's how I escape. That's so important to me, and it's gone for obvious reasons. And that's a very selfish example, but one of the things I like to talk about with COVID is you really couldn't think of anything that tears at the fabric of who we are more than what's going on with COVID. You know, it's taken away our favorite restaurants. It's taken away, to some extent, our places of worship. It's really impacted our jobs. It's clearly impacted schools at a level you can't even understand. There's almost no safe place where it hasn't ripped away at the fabric. And I just think that's important to acknowledge, because, you know, I have the privilege of talking to people all over the country in all kinds of situations, and I don't care who you are. I emphasize that again. I don't care who you are. It's having an impact in your life in so many ways. And just acknowledge that and give yourself grace and understand we're all in this together. I know we hear that all the time, and it's kind of like, whatever. But it is getting all of us. I've yet to talk to anybody around the country who's like, oh yeah, it's all good, life goes on. Man, it's okay to acknowledge that things are challenging right now. And because I think to me that's kind of one of the first steps of trying to do little things to make your life a little bit better. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about my favorite thing there is to talk about, and that is exercise and health. And we're going to start here. And what is here? Let me show you. So this is simply the amount of exercise you get. Way out here on the right are marathon runners. Way over here on the left is, hey, I sit on the couch all day, which a lot of us have been doing during COVID. And my point to this, it's not a linear relationship. The more you exercise, the more physical activity you get and benefit. I happen to have heart disease here, cardiovascular disease. It really doesn't matter what I put here. I could put diabetes here. I could put mental health here. The curve always looks the same. If you're right about here and you're a 10K runner and you become a marathon runner and you go from here to here, you haven't really improved your health that much because you were already in such a good place. If you're over here and it's been a while since you've been active and you start walking, whoop, look at how much you have improved your health. Look at how much you've reduced your risk of anything bad happening. So to me, that's great news. Just doing anything has huge health benefits. And you can make the argument that these people over here actually stand to benefit or get more return on investment than those people out here. So to me, this is a very encouraging message. Just going for that walk, just walking a block or two, you're already getting huge health benefits. Now, one of the studies that I want to talk about, this was our study. This is called DREW. This was the largest exercise trial ever conducted in postmenopausal women. We were looking at overweight postmenopausal women with elevated blood pressure. And this was kind of like what you do with the drug, with medications or pharmaceutical study. You're looking at different doses. So we had a group that did nothing. We had a group that did the recommendation. We had a group that did half the recommendation, and we had a group that did 150% of the recommendation. You know, it's called a dose response study. And really what we're getting at is what's the minimal amount you need to get by. And what you see here is changes in fitness over 6 months. All exercise was supervised. It was walking on treadmills in front of us. We know they did it. And it was at a very slow pace. Again, just very, very manageable prescription over 6 months. And this is what we saw. This is fitness is we put them on the treadmill to test them, how well they did on the treadmill. It's a treadmill test. It's no different than, say, doing a stairs test. And what we saw is in the control group, the group that did nothing over 6 months, they actually got worse. They almost lost 2% of their fitness. And the group that walked 72 minutes a week, and I'm going to come back to that, not only held serve, they actually improved by almost 4%. The group that did 136 minutes a week improved even more, and 192 minutes a week improved even more. Look at this nice dose response curve. The more you do, the more you benefit. But let's go to the 72 minutes a week group, okay? 72 minutes a week. That's 10 minutes a day of walking. That's it, 10 minutes a day. Or that's like 22 minutes, 3 days a week of slow walking at a slow pace. So just doing anything, again, has tremendous benefits, even as little as 10 minutes a day. And in this case, you see here, we're looking at fitness, again, which is the fitter you are, the easier it is to walk upstairs. You know, when you talk about exercise, when you talk about health, you talk about physical activity, everybody always says, oh, it makes you feel better. Oh, it reduces your risk of depression. Oh, this or that. It's interesting that that was for a while largely untested. Or if it was tested, it was in individuals who had pretty significant health conditions. They were cancer survivors, or maybe they had a heart attack. But in healthy individuals that hadn't been tested. In this study, we measured quality of life before and after being in the study. And I'm going to share those results with you right now. So this is quality of life related to physical health. How easy is it for me to get out of bed, to carry my luggage, to do things like that? No surprise, across the exercise groups, there was a nice increase in quality of life related to physical health. Again, no surprise. You train somebody, of course, you're going to see improvements in physical health. You would expect that. That's not, to me, really where the story is. This is where the story begins. Mental health, stress, anxiety, depression. How is this impacting your quality of life, your day-to-day quality of life? Every exercise group improved their quality of life related to mental health, even the 72 minutes a week group. So this to me is so important. Energy, I love this one. You ask people, what do you want more of? 9 out of 10 are going to say, I need more energy. I'm running out of gas late in the day. I can't play with my kids, or I can't play with my grandkids. I can't vacation the way I used to. I just can't do the things I used to do. Note, every exercise group improved their energy levels, and there wasn't even dose response. It was kind of a flat response across the top. What the group I love to focus on over here is this group, this 92 minute a week group, because what you see here is 92 minutes a week. That's quite a bit. I'm having them come into our lab. They're driving to our lab, then they're getting on the treadmill for 60 to 70 minutes a time, 3 days a week. That's a lot of work. And let me tell you, these participants, they were not silent sufferers. If they had an issue, they let us know what that issue was before it was fully formed in their head. And, were they coming to us and saying, hey, you're disturbing my life. I'm tired from all this hard work. No, they're actually coming to us and saying, wow, I've never had more energy in my life. That's fascinating to me. You work the heck out of somebody, which we did in this group, and they're coming back and saying, I've never had more energy. That's a really positive message to me. So this is sleep. This is so curious to me, because I didn't think sleep was going to change, because these individuals didn't have sleep issues. But of course, a young junior investigator said, hey, I want to look at sleep in your population. I said, hey, go ahead. And as you can see right here, what happened even in these individuals who didn't have sleep issues, every single exercise group improved their sleep. And particularly right now, you think about something we could all use a little bit more of, and that is good sleep. Now, here's my cheesy story. If you've ever heard me talk, you've heard this story, because I love this story, because I think this to me is the essence of quality of life. When we were doing this study, I would see the participants at baseline, and then I would see them at follow-up. And I would do the medical exam, and it was follow-up. And the lady was clearly affluent. And she says to me, she says, you gave me my life back. And she starts crying. And I first thought was, well, wow, I went into research so people didn't cry in my office, but I guess I better handle this. And I was very curious, and I said to her, I said, what do you mean by that? Can you dig in a little bit more? She said, you gave me my life back. She said, 6 months ago or 7 months ago, I took my whole family, grandkids and all, to Alaska. And the kids were running. Everybody was outside having the time of their life. And I was so out of shape and so unfit, I was stuck in the cabin alone. And she says to me, I've never been more lonely. And it just hit me when she said that. I've never been more lonely. And then she said, we just got back from Hawaii, and I was leading the charge up the volcanoes with my grandkids. After 6 months of exercise, now she can lead the charge up the volcanoes with her grandkids. And she looked at me, she said, you gave me my life back. And I love that story. That is quality of life. That's an extreme example, I get it. But that is quality of life. It's when you can do the things you want to do and you're not being limited by your physical capabilities. And in this case, a walking program gave this woman back her quality of life. So to summarize this section, when you're talking about exercise or physical activity, however you want to describe it, more is better, but something is better than nothing. Let's just, especially right now, let's just get out there. Let's just get some steps. Let's just get started. Okay, exercise, weight loss, and quality of life. This is fun. So obviously, I work for Naturally Slim. If you've seen any of the Naturally Slim program, you've seen me. I'm Chief Medical Officer. I oversee all of our curriculum. And when you start talking about weight loss too can improve your quality of life. but exercise or physical activity is a critical component of weight loss. So you're left with, well, is it the weight loss or is it the exercise that improves one's quality of life? So that's what we looked at. We actually took the Naturally Slim data and we compared changes in exercise to changes in weight loss on impacting quality of life. This is submitted for publication right now. This is brand new data. I don't know that anybody's ever looked at this before. So this is fun stuff. I'm kind of letting you guys behind the curtain here. And what we're looking at is the slide's a little bit messy, so stick with me. You have change in weight loss down here. You have change in activity here. So this is a little bit of weight loss, more weight loss, a medium amount of weight loss, and a lot of weight loss. This is no change in activity, a little bit more activity, a lot more activity. For each level of activity, the more weight you lose, the more your quality of life improves. Within each category of weight loss, the more active you are, the more your quality of life improves. So what is this very complicated slide saying relative to change in energy? It's a 1 + 1 = 3. Becoming active increases your energy levels. Losing a little bit of weight increases your energy levels. You do both, even more. So the big takeaway from here related to energy is that both weight loss and improvements in physical activity can increase your levels of energy. To me, that's a really cool story. Mood, again, anxiety, depression, how am I feeling? Kind of the exact same story. Within each level of physical activity, the more weight you lose, these individuals really didn't change their physical activity, but they lost some weight. They increased their mood, they improved their mood. Within each level of weight loss, the more physical activity you did, the more you improved your mood. Again, it was kind of a 1 + 1 = 3. The weight loss and the physical activity kind of contributed about the same amount to changes in mood. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. This is fun. This is change in sleep. We already looked at the changes in physical activity or exercise and sleep. But now, again, we're going to look at weight loss and change in physical activity. And this one, the story is a little different. Even though technically, within each level of physical activity, the more weight you lose, the more your sleep improves. But look at where the real payoff is. Within each level of weight loss, physical activity. So here's a group that didn't lose weight loss. 12% of them improved their sleep. 30% of these guys improved their sleep. 52%. Clearly, even though weight loss does improve sleep, physical activity really improves sleep. So if you're struggling with sleep these days, physical activity, physical activity, physical activity. And I think that another really important message here is going from no change to a little bit more to a lot more. You're almost doubling it each time. So in this instance, they weren't equal. Changes in physical activity, changes in exercise actually produced more improvements in sleep than changes in weight loss alone. Again, this is, some of you may be in this data set. If you've been part of Naturally Slim, you might be in this data set. So thank you. But this is 23,000 people. This data has never been seen before. Now, let's talk about weight loss and COVID, because I think this is pretty interesting. We've heard a lot about this. The idea that, the COVID-19, that during the last 4 or 5 months, many people have put on weight, and that's understandable. We were stuck at home. There's a lot of different emotional eating going on. It's all over the press. So the question becomes, can you do a program? Can you do a weight loss or physical activity program during times like these, and what's going to happen? And I think this is really important because I don't think this stress or COVID goes away tomorrow. I think at some level we're going to be dealing with this for a while, and we just need to kind of get better at understanding this is the norm. Maybe not these crazy high levels we're seeing right now, but I don't see it going away anytime soon. So I actually have some good news here. These are weight loss participants in Naturally Slim. That there's 44,000 people here. that enrolled in February, sometime between February and May. So during the explosion of COVID, during when we were all at home, basically homebound, these individuals were in our program, and you can see it. They succeeded. They actually lost weight using Naturally Slim during this very, very challenging last 4 months. Maybe it's a little less weight loss than we normally see, but it's better than weight gain. And I just want to, there's never the perfect time to do a weight loss program, but they can work at any point. And people are like, well, this is so weird. Why would a weight loss program work during COVID? Because a good weight loss program like Naturally Slim, we're teaching you how to eat better during challenging times. We're teaching you that when you have a fight with a significant other, don't go emotionally eat. We're teaching you when you go to that business lunch how to eat the things you love without eating too much. It's our job to teach people how to eat in a more healthy style during challenging times. So it makes sense that our program would work really well during COVID. And I like the weight loss data. It's exciting to me. But this is the data to me that's really exciting. Again, during the last 4 months, these are individuals who were in our program. 70% of them increased physical activity. We've been talking about the importance of physical activity and that. And so this is exciting to me. We were able to increase physical activity by 70%. But here's the quality of life measures. During these last 4 months, which have been really challenging, 60% of individuals report an increase in confidence. 58% of individuals report an increase in mood. 63% report an increase in energy. And 1/3 improve their sleep. This stuff is why I do this. This makes me so happy to know that we helped people, improve their quality of life during this very, very challenging time. And it's what it's all about. And if we can do that during this challenging time, what happens during regular times? So this alone to me is a reason to engage in a good behavioral program like Naturally Slim. All right, so moving forward. So let's do some problem solving. It's funny, I challenged my kids the other day. Of course, they looked at me like I was crazy. They're 2 teenagers. And I said, this year is going to be the year of problem solving. It's going to be the year of creative problem solving. And creative in a way we never imagined. But you know what? We're going to get through it, and we're going to get through it by doing things that we probably would have never thought of before. The year of creative problem solving. So that's what we're going to do now. So normally when I talk to somebody about getting physically active, it's going to start something like this. If they're clearly not interested, I'll say, you know what? Do this for me. Just get up and walk at least once an hour. Break up your sitting. And I tell them that for 2 reasons. One is it's important to break up your sitting. It's actually not how much sitting a day you get, it's how much prolonged sitting a day you get. You don't want to sit continuously for more than 45 minutes or an hour. You need to break that up. So get up and move every 45 minutes to an hour. That's important. But also when I start there, people kind of get it. They get that's intriguing to them. And sometimes that gets people to be more interested in being physically active. So there you go. Get up at least every 45 minutes to an hour and break up your sitting. Well, if someone says to me, okay, I hear you, but I'm not exercising. Well, I'm gonna tell them, you know what? Get me 7,000 steps a day. Yes, I said 7, not 10,000. The 10,000 steps a day was not supported by science. It was just bizarre how that number came out a long time ago, and the press just ran with it. 7,000 steps a day, and use the stairs when possible. That's kind of the minimal physical activity level. And you're like, if you don't have a step counter, most phones will count your steps. So get me 7,000 steps a day. If someone says, hey, I'm willing to try exercise. What should my goal be? Your goal should be 150 minutes a week of slow walking or 75 minutes a week of jogging. So as the intensity of your exercise goes up, the amount of minutes you need to do it comes down. So 150 minutes a week of slow walking or 75 minutes a week of jogging. If you're a fast walker, that's about 100 minutes a week. Okay. Now, if someone says, "Hey, I'm all in. I'm all in. I get it. I'm all in." Well, I want you to add a little bit higher intensity, but I also want you to get at least 2 days a week of weightlifting. Weightlifting is interesting. I didn't talk about it too much today, and it's probably for a future lecture, which I'd be happy to give. You get a huge return on investment on weightlifting because as we age, we lose 1 to 2% of muscle a year from age kind of 45 on. This is particularly important for women. And muscle is so, so important in quality of life. When you think about it, you carry in the groceries, you carry your grandkids, you carry your luggage when you go on a trip. You know, being able to move yourself and other things is critical for healthy aging. And so keeping the muscle you have as happy and healthy as possible is absolutely critical for as we age and having the optimal life. So 2 days a week, it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. The only downside of weightlifting is, you know, when I tell you to go walk, it's pretty easy to figure out what that means. With weightlifting, sometimes you need somebody to give you a base program who can help you. So when you start, reach out to somebody or go online, find a very low impact program. That's a good place to start. Now, you know, when I talk about these things, these are kind of the standard physical activity guidelines or prescriptions you hear all the time. And, you know, when you say these things, what people hear is blah, 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 blah. And I kind of get that because I'm not sure that's where we should start. You know, what I would love to do is to move physical activity or exercise from your to-do list to your I can't wait to do it list to I need this every day list. And I hope that makes sense because when it's on your to-do list, it's generally probably not going to be gotten to. But when it's I can't wait to do this, I need to do this, I love to do this, then we find a way of prioritizing and doing it. Well, how do you do that? How do you move something from your to-do list to your I want to do list? Well, I think the first question is, what do you love doing? I know that sounds crazy, but we need to start there. What do you miss? What are you interested in? What have you been curious about? What did you used to do you don't do anymore? Maybe you used to swim. Maybe you used to do yoga. Maybe you love volleyball. What do you love to do? Let's start there. And if you're not capable of doing what you love to do, how do we work you up to get there? That to me is the most important question there is when it comes to finding a physical activity or exercise program that you're going to stick with. By the way, the other, I've been doing this a long time, and the number one predictor of people who stick with a program is who are they doing it with? When you find a group or an individual who holds you dependable, is that the right word? Who holds you dependent, I don't know, one of those words. When you find a group or individual who you rely on each other, the likelihood of you dropping out of a program goes down to nothing. So 2 things I'm going to challenge you with. What do you love to do and who do you love to do it with? Those are the 2 things I would ask yourself. Now, things that might matter in choosing your program. Stick with me on this. Some of this is going to get a little bit abstract, but I've been thinking a lot about this stuff. You know, as you think about what type of physical activity you want to do, ask yourself these questions. How important is connectiveness to you? How important is community to you? Do you want to do this as a group? Do you want to do this with one person? Are you one of those people who likes to, you know, kind of have their alone time? Think about what community means to you. Do you want something that really builds resilience, that really challenges you, or no, not so much for me, I just want to be out there chilling? You know, do you want something that kind of produces, that impacts brain health? You feel productive. Do you want something that raises energy levels? Do you want something that improves your mood? Or do you want something that builds self-esteem? I can tell you for me, if I don't have a competition, I don't work out. And I do this for a living, people. I talk about exercise and weight every single day. I can talk for hours about how good it is for you. But let me tell you, if I don't have a competition, I won't do it. If I don't have a competition, I won't do that. And I know that about myself. So I constantly have to be doing competitions to keep myself motivated. That's what keeps me going. And I like being part of a team. My plan for you, do what you love to do. Part of that process then is to identify what you need out of a program. Make your plan fit the physical activity requirements, not vice versa. Don't worry about counting the minutes at this heart rate for this amount of time. It doesn't make any sense. Do the opposite. This is what I love to do, and I'm going to figure out a way to achieve the physical activity goals through what I love to do, or some combination of what I love to do. I hope that makes sense. All right, that was a lot of material that I went through pretty fast. So this is my plan for COVID, because I want to modify what I just said to you. Just do anything. Anything. I've been power walking. If you had said to me 6 months ago that your main source of exercise was going to be power walking, I would have laughed at you. Just do, everything counts. Preferably outside. Why? Well, it should be kind of obvious. We're all stuck inside. I get it. It's Texas. We're hot. Let's get outside, even if we got to do it in the morning, even if we got to do it at night. I think there's a lot of additional value to go with outside right now. A, we're inside too much. B, it reminds us and reconnects us to our neighbors in our community. We might not walk up to them and shake their hand and have a conversation, but at least we wave at each other. And again, it's this shared experience. We're reconnecting to the world. Do it regularly. If you're just doing a little bit of activity, do it regularly. And I mean, probably every day. I think it's just so important for the mental health. And then again, get creative, problem solve. You know, there's no style points. We're not training for marathons. Just get out there. If you want to go in the park and do yoga, do in the park and do yoga. Pull up a YouTube video that shows you how to do yoga. Lay down a blanket. Walking business calls. I've been doing a lot of this. People have no clue the whole time they're talking to me. I'm actually walking, and I'm walking in the neighborhood. I'm not kidding. Walk your neighbor's dog. If your neighbor isn't capable of getting outside right now or can't get outside, take their dog for a walk. You know, that's you don't have to social distance from a dog. You know, now more than ever, it's time to get creative. And this is kind of what I call my COVID plan. I really hope something resonated with you today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to open it up to questions now.
We did have a couple of questions that one of them I thought was really a great question. Someone asked kind of early on when you were talking about the dosing in the study that you did with the menopausal women. They asked, do you have to continue to increase your activity levels in order to continue to receive that benefit? Or do you sort of hit a point where you can that just maintain?
That's such a great question. I love that question. The benefits never end. I like to say there's short-term, intermediate, and long-term benefits. If you exercise today, you will metabolize blood sugar better for the next 24 to 72 hours. So that's a short-term benefit. That's why I say that's why don't let more than 2 days go without being physically active, because how you metabolize sugar, how you metabolize fat is immediately impacted by physical activity. Then there's kind of intermediate terms. That's kind of that 6-month thing like we showed you. You know, you improve your fitness levels, you improve your blood pressure and your blood values, but then there's longer term. That's where we now start talking about reducing cancer risk. We start talking about bone health. We start talking about all these other things. So one given category might kind of max out, but there's all these other categories you're improving. I love to say this, you know, there's nothing you can do for your health or healthy aging that is more important than being physically active or exercising, because it literally tunes up every cell of the human body. And we didn't even talk about all the cognition, all the mental health stuff. We kind of nibbled on it, but we didn't even dive in. We didn't really even dive into it.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a great response. As much as you can do, just do something every day.
Yeah,
to get that benefit.
I love it. Swimmers love to say, just touch the water. I stole that. I stole that from swimmers. And, you know, I don't swim, but to me, I think about that. Just touch the water every time. And to me, just get out for that walk every day, even if it's for 10 minutes.
Okay. We got another question about the 10,000 steps a day. Curious about why the science has shown 10,000 steps to be not supported. Is 10,000 detrimental?
It was never supported. It was the craziest thing ever. It was a study in Japan in an electrical company. It was never published in English. I don't think it was ever published. And the 10,000 stuck. So Katrine Tudor-Lock, who's the queen of step counters, she's committed her whole life to this, has looked at counting steps in cancer, counting steps in mental health, counting steps in osteoporosis. And it's always about 7,500 steps is where the health benefits begin.
Okay.
Now, if you want to start talking about weight loss, in particular, keeping weight off, now it goes up to like 12,000 steps. The 10,000 steps was just this thing. It's a great round number. It's fun to talk about. I'm sure I was guilty of this in the past. You know, everybody grabbed onto that number, just went. But here's the perfect formula: 7,000 to 7,500 steps. Preferably 3,000 of them with a little bit more pace, and then never miss an opportunity to take the stairs, because the vertical element, you're going up. Gravity's against you. It's really good for your bones, really good for your hips, really good for your muscles. So I've had this 10,000 versus 7,000 conversation so many times.
That's great. Thank you for clearing that up for us. Someone has asked, will a 25-minute strength class twice a week be equal to the 2 times weightlifting class?
You guys are great. All right, so here's where it gets confusing. It's like if I do an old-fashioned strength program where you kind of lift your weight, you pause for 2 or 3 minutes, lift your weight again. I mean, that's just pure strength training. There's no aerobic to it. There's no physical activity. Most modern strength programs have a quicker pace. They use multiple joints. It's 2 for 1. You're getting physical activity and you're getting strength. When it comes to strength, so I've worked with a lot of people like, I do not want to walk ever. I don't want to do anything aerobic. I love to lift. I love to lift. I love to lift. So I tell them, hey, that's awesome. You know what? You lift better when your muscles are warm. So get on that treadmill and get me 10 or 15 minutes of warm up. And you know what? You benefit more when you get to flush those muscles out after you've lifted. So 10 or 15 minutes on the treadmill, go lift all the weights you want, and then give me 10 or 15 minutes warm down. That's a way of increasing more physical activity to your program, even though you're focused on lifting. It's a little challenging, I get it. You do have to kind of look at like the type of lifting you're doing. Is my heart beating faster? If it is beating faster, then you're getting both. And most modern programs do. I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Is yoga weightlifting? Depends on who your yoga teacher is. I love yoga. I'm horrible at it. I love it.
I'm a yoga teacher. Did you know this?
I figured you were.
Okay.
And Lacey, you could probably talk about this. Man, it can either be really stretching based, it could be really aerobic based, or it could be more strength based. It just really depends on your yoga teacher and what they emphasize. I like to tell people, look at what you're doing, and if it's lopsided one direction, that's fine, but you got to add in the other stuff somewhere else. You know, if you're doing a lot of strength yoga, you might need to sneak in some walks. If you're doing a lot of aerobic that has a lot of stretching, you might have to do some more muscle elsewhere. So it really depends on your particular. The beauty of yoga now is, man, just you can find awesome instructors on YouTube. Most of my yoga has been video based recently.
It's interesting because I find most people like to do what they're good at. And so when people are not good at stretching, not flexible, if you will, they tend to not want to do those types of classes and would prefer to do strength. But that's something I have to challenge myself with because I like the flexibility stuff and I know I need the strength work. So trying to find that balance for sure.
Lacey, that is such a great point. And I should have mentioned this. I love to talk about train to your weakness. People who can run like the wind, guess what? Good for you, but after so many miles, you're not helping yourself anymore. And people who are stronger than a house, at some point lifting more weights isn't good for you or isn't benefiting you. So most people know what they are. Yes, I love to go lift cars. Okay, if you love to lift cars, then you know what? You need to get some more walking in. If you're someone who loves to just go out, walk and run and can do it endlessly and tirelessly, you need to lift some more weights. To me, it's one of the core elements of setting up a modern program. Train to your weakness. So thank you, Lacey, for reminding me of that. I totally spaced on that.
Absolutely. Someone has asked about cycling, and then we also had another similar question about jumping rope. Can you talk about intensity of exercise and these other modes of exercise as well?
Yeah, no, again, what do you love to do? What do you love to do? I love jumping rope. I love it. And you can make it as intense or not intense as you want. It's the thing about jumping rope that's really curious that people sometimes miss is the coordination between your hands and your brain. It's really good if you also play sports. If you play basketball, if you wrestle, if you play baseball, it's a lot more neurologically intense than you think. And that's why boxers jump rope. So there's some neurological, I'm saying that probably wrong. There's some nervous system positive elements to it. Cycling's interesting because it's aerobically challenging. I love it, but it's not weight bearing. So if you're worried about muscles, you may have to add in some weight bearing stuff or some strength. Competitively, I see the best cyclists are ones who also lift weights. If you're doing it recreationally, I do think you need to add some either weightlifting or some additional walking to get the weight bearing benefits.
And that was the specific question the person had, was does 20 minutes of exercise on an indoor bike equate to 7,500 steps outdoors?
First of all, I don't care. Just do it. If that's what you want to do, just do it. I don't care. If you want to do the math, 20 minutes on a bike, if you're going fairly hard or medium hard, yeah, that's about a 20-minute walk. That's light, moderate walk. But I don't care. We can't get hung up in this minutia. If you're on that bike, bless you. That's all I care about.
Do you have any recommendations for starting a strength training program, or for people maybe that don't have equipment? I will say DPS, Texas Department of Public Safety, Mike Harper, which I know you know Mike, he used to be at Cooper Institute, has a lot of free resources available on the DPS webpage to help people with establishing a workout program. So I'm just going to throw that one out there for state agencies. But Dr. Church, do you have any other recommendations on that?
You don't need equipment. You really don't. I do most of mine. I keep saying it's horrible. I do most of my stuff at home with minimal. I mean, maybe barbells, a couple barbells. Again, YouTube it. Find somebody your age. Find somebody who's at the pace you like. You know, the whole no pain, no gain. Throw that stuff out the window. Your muscles. The great thing about resistance training or lifting weights is your muscles just respond so quickly to a little bit of it. And I hear this all the time. I don't want to be offensive, but like, oh, I don't want to look like those professional bodybuilders. You're not. You know, you can gain a lot of muscle without adding any. So when I did a huge weightlifting trial in women, type 2 diabetics. And it was interesting that no one wanted to lift weights. So we get put in a weightlifting group and they'd be like, oh gosh, this is going to be the worst. Then we couldn't get them out of the gym. They loved it. Their shoulders looked toned, their arms are toned, their legs were toned. They had a confidence. And I'm sure you see this all the time, Lacey. When you can get, in particular, women lifting weights, the physiological and the psychological benefits are fantastic.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those things I think women tend to shy away from, just because we're scared we're going to get big. Or
I don't blame them. I mean, the gym used to be a men's locker room, you know. Right. But I think that's changed a lot now that we can't really even talk about gyms since most of them are closed anyway. But you get the point. I mean, there's a lot more options now. You got all these awesome things like Orange Theory or and I don't want to market one particular place, but you know, there's a lot more better options for everybody out there now.
We get a really good question. I'm just going to read this one out. If I've got to choose between an extra hour of sleep or waking up to work out, which wins? If I say got 6 hours of sleep, should I sleep an extra hour and get 7, or get up and work out? What do you think would have the most benefit for your health?
So it's an individual level question. I will never, ever, 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 ever understand the human being that gets up to exercise. It's just not me, can't be me, won't do it. I'm a noon person. So figure out what works for you. If you're sleep deprived, get to sleep. Get to sleep, and then get me 15, 20 minutes later. If you're not sleep deprived and that's the time that works for you, and I get it, it's a cult, those people that wake up early and go exercise. You're probably one of them. You look disciplined. And you know, if that works for you, then awesome, do it. You know, so much of this is what works for you. What's the best time of the day? I get asked all the time, should I eat before exercise? You know what? Some people can't eat within 3 hours. Some people can eat a hamburger while jogging. What works for you? That's what matters the most. I think for a lot of people, historically, the barriers to exercise have been these false rules that don't even really exist about don't do this, don't do that, da, 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 da. No, what works for you?
That's great. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I know y'all on Naturally Slim, y'all have worked with a sleep expert, Dr. Moss, and I heard him speak on, you know, the fact that everybody needs a different amount of sleep. Really, you have to do some research for yourself to figure out what do you need. But obviously, that's a very foundational component of good health. Someone has asked about the recommendation for the amount of weight to lift for postmenopausal women, 5'10", how much you can lift.
That's a great point. No, I can't tell you the weight because I can't see you, but lower reps. So at least 10 to 12 reps. This is not powerlifting. This is not 3 or 4 reps as hard as you can. This should be comfortable. But that said, you should also advance. When you can do 12 reps super easy or 14 reps super easy, you need to increase the weight. You know, it's funny, Lacey, I just realized this. We haven't said the word immunity yet. And if 5 months ago, you had been like, well, do you want to talk about immunity? That's you would have been interested. But most people have been like, I don't care about immunity. Suddenly, we're all super interested in immunity. And let me tell you, over the next year, immunity is going to be a word that shows up everywhere. It has been shown time and time again, physical activity, exercise ramps up your immune system. It's been shown in the elderly. If somebody's exercising regularly, immunizations work better. You have a lower chance of colds. You have a lower chance of flu. Yes, if you train for the Ironman or train for the Tour de France, you go beyond that. Now your immunity can be compromised. But for most standard exercise programs, it's going to increase your immunity. And boy, talk about a time we could all use a little bit more immunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a great point. We're all hyper focused on improving our immune system right now, and everything that we've been talking about for decades with sleep and exercise and, you know, just hydration, so incredibly important. Can you talk about weight bands for people, like resistance bands for free weights?
Again, anything that works for you. What works for you? Machines are great. They have their strengths and limitations. Bands are great. They have their strengths and limitations. Barbells are great. They have their strengths and limitations. You know, dial in what works for you. You know what's also curious too that people forget is as your life changes, things change. I see people who feel so guilty. Oh, I can't jog anymore. Well, then don't jog. You know, it's weird. So many other aspects of our life change as we go through different life cycles, but we don't think our exercise should change. But it 100% should change. You know, and we're not who we were in our 20s or in our 30s or 40s or in our 50s. And we're better in a lot of ways. And in other ways, things are a little bit more challenging. And so it doesn't, what works for you at this particular life cycle?
So a couple more questions on different types of activity, and I feel like I'm going to get the same exact response from you. Boot camp, you're going to tell me whatever works for you, correct? Like outdoor boot camps?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit harsher.
Okay.
Please make sure you have a good instructor. More is not better. If I had $1 for every time one of my friends has explained to me what they're doing, and I'm like, hey, just call your orthopedic surgeon now, because that's going to be an injury in 6 weeks. And anybody who's we all know what this is, who's pushing too hard, we're just not that. We're not professional athletes. We're not at that place in life anymore.
Right.
And you know, as I train a ton. I train a ridiculous amount, but I train smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not easy. You got it. It takes a while to dial it in for yourself. But and I like boot camps because I like the community element. If you've got a good instructor, they've got your program figured out for you. But if you ever tell your instructor, I need to slow it down, and they tell you no, you're at the wrong place.
Right. Do you feel like pool exercise is effective for older people with diabetes?
Heck yeah. I just admitted I have a pool. I had knee surgery during this whole thing. So I was in my pool training, jumping up like a wild person, hoping no one could see me. Yes, love water exercises.
Great. And I'm going to just scroll back through here and see if I've missed anything. We did have a couple questions early when you were going through some of your data slides, asking about with the menopausal women study, how did you measure fitness? And then with the sleep, how did you measure improvement in sleep? It was KKW, I believe, was the...
Those are the exercise doses. That was an old slide. I should have put minutes. I should have made it in the minutes.
Okay.
So when we do our studies, they're ridiculous. We put heart rate monitors on you. We measure every step on the treadmill, every calorie burned. We know exactly what you've done over 6 months. And then we do actually 2 treadmill tests, 2 maximal treadmill tests, and then we average the data. And I'm blessed. Actually, the guy who did this photo is the one who did all my treadmill testing. He's probably the best exercise physiologist in the world for testing people, because it's what we did. It's what I used to do in my previous life. So we know their fitness.
You're measuring VO2 using millimeters of oxygen per kilogram body weight with direct gas.
We put a mask on them.
You got the mask on, and then you're measuring, and then the fitness level is going up based off of the standardized norm charts, correct?
No, there's no standardized norm. We're measuring it. So we know their number. If you were 35 before, you'll be 40 now. But you know what's really interesting? You got all this fancy testing gear, and nothing's more predictive than how long you stayed on that treadmill. So on average, because the grade keeps going up, but on average, people stayed on the treadmill 3 minutes longer. So it's fascinating. We spent all this money on all this fancy equipment, but yet it was just how long you stayed on the treadmill mattered more.
Endurance.
Yeah, and I like it to like flight of stairs. How many flight of stairs can you do before you get tired? It's the exact same thing.
We can do our own fitness tests on our stairs.
You can, but you know, to me, it's so much. It's just you feel it. It's a perception. Did you get exhausted carrying the groceries in and out of the house? Did you get exhausted chasing your grandkids? When you're a little bit more fit, you just feel better.
Absolutely. So much more energy. We've got a question. I'm going to address this one right away because we were just talking about the mask. Someone has asked, when they're exercising, should they wear their mask?
So when I do my walks, I don't wear one, but no one gets near me.
Yeah.
I see people coming. I go to the other side of the street. I mean, even still, it's probably a little risk. But I mean, I've got to be a good example.
Yeah.
I have a mask to wear at the gym. Should I go back to the gym? I've not gone back to the gym for 5 months, so I haven't worn it yet. But when I do, I will wear my mask at the gym.
Okay.
Outside, no, I don't. But I'm pretty careful.
Right, just making sure that you stay far enough away from people.
Yeah,
and
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, we have one more question. Do you have thoughts on nutrition? I know you have a lot of thoughts on nutrition. So I'm going to probably end with that question and let you talk about some resources that may be available.
So I'm going to go back to Naturally Slim. We are blessed to have Marilyn Zerner, the most incredible nutritionist, dietitian I've ever worked with, the most insane educator I've ever worked with. She is so good. And we have, in the last 9 months, we've been filming during COVID, by the way. We've shot over 20 segments during COVID. So we've added even more nutrition to Naturally Slim. We're going to continue to add more to it over the next year. You know, nutrition is pretty simple to me. You know, avoid fried foods, more fruits and vegetables. If you got hypertension, learn about the DASH eating style. If you're concerned about cardiovascular health or brain health, learn about the Mediterranean eating style. They're not diets. That drives me nuts. They were never diets. They were eating styles. So Mediterranean and DASH. DASH is basically eat less salt, eat more vegetables. Mediterranean, we all know what that is. You know, those are the two most supported, and those are the two I like to recommend.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all of the great questions, everybody. Naturally Slim is an incredible program. I've been through the curriculum myself. I've participated, and it really teaches you not just what to eat, but rather how and why you eat things that you do, and ways and strategies to actually change your eating behavior, which is essentially what most of us need to work on the most. So, and appreciate your time, Dr. Church and Jessica and Amy and Saucity and everybody that helped out with putting this webinar together today. I hope we can do another one of these in the future. Maybe we can talk about nutrition or, you know, all kinds of topics that we can talk about. So.
Thanks, Lacey. I really appreciate it. Everybody out there, again, thank you for all you do. We get it. Keep doing it.
Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your day and for all you do for the state of Texas. I'll look forward to seeing you on a future webinar.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.